Hi, I'm Lawrence Wilson, and this is the That Ain't Right podcast. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And now for the story of the week. The world is getting to be a much more dangerous place. The question nobody really wants to ask is, are we watching the pieces come together for a much larger conflict, such as World War III? For years, Americans have heard about individual crises, a missile strike, a conflict in another part of the world. But what happens when multiple conflicts happen at the same time? Russia is fighting Ukraine. China is challenging the U.S. on the not-so-down low. Iran is still trying to have its influence across the Middle East, firing missiles at neighbors. Israel is surrounded by threats. Shipping routes are being attacked. Are we in a new era of global competition that could pull the world into a much larger war? Look at Russia and China and Iran. These countries do not have identical goals, but they share something important. They all benefit from challenging the current world order that has been led by the United States for decades. Russia wants to rebuild its influence. China wants to become a dominant power in the world, and Iran wants to expand its influence throughout the Middle East. And when countries that oppose America find common interests, they start cooperating. That should get everyone's attention. Then there is the Ukraine. The war between Russia and Ukraine is not just a conflict between two countries. It is a power test between Russia and the Western Hemisphere. The U.S. and its allies are trying to support Ukraine without creating a direct war. But history has shown that major conflicts do not always happen because two countries want war. But mistakes happen. One wrong decision, one attack that goes too far, one moment where leaders lose control, and when nuclear powers are involved, the consequences are unmanageable. Now look at the Middle East. Iran has spent decades building influence through groups and partners throughout the region. From Iraq to Yemen, these conflicts have created constant instability. Let's take a moment and take a stroll down to the strip to a little segment I like to call Comic Book Corner. Let's get back into it. Israel is fighting threats from multiple directions. The U.S. has responded to attacks from Iran-backed groups. Saudi Arabia and other nations are trying to protect their security and their economic interests. And why does that matter to Americans, you might ask? It's because the Middle East is not just about geography. It affects energy prices, shipping routes, the global economy, and Americans' role in the world. A conflict that starts thousands of miles away can reach every American household. There is another part of this story many people overlook. Let's talk about the Western Hemisphere. For decades, countries like Cuba have maintained relationships with America's rivals, including Russia. Many Americans pay attention to conflicts overseas but forget that great powers have always looked for influence closer to their opponents. The world is a chessboard, and every country is making its moves. Now here is the uncomfortable question. Are we seeing warning signs, or are we waiting until crises become impossible to ignore? Because history teaches us something important. Major conflicts rarely appear overnight, but build slowly. They grow through small decisions, weak responses, and countries believing the other side will never take things too far. Listen, the goal should always be peace. Nobody wants World War III. But peace does not come from pretending problems do not exist. Peace comes from strength, preparation, and understanding the threats before they become disasters. So when you look at Russia, China, Iran, Ukraine, Israel, Yemen, and the growing competition between world powers, ask yourself this. Are these separate events happening at the same time? Or are we watching the beginning of something much bigger, World War III? If you don't ask yourself that question at least, that ain't right. Listen, I don't have a studio or fancy equipment. I have a phone, a voice, and hopefully you. Together, we can make a difference. Thanks for listening. Until next time.